Well, the St. Louis Cardinals just split their doubleheader with the National League wildcard leading Atlanta Braves. Offense did wake up a little bit against Sonny Gray. So, do we have any questions or concerns about Sonny Gray's performance as of late? Also, the Cardinals have been officially linked to some arms, and they're a little bit bigger than I think some people were expecting. We'll talk about all this and more in this episode of Dealing the Cards. Well, hey, it's Andrew and I, minus Sandy tonight. We're going to talk. I know we usually do Sundays, but we're going to talk tonight about the first two games of the Brave series. And we also want to talk about some current, not just rumors at this point, but like sourced news about some people, some pitchers that the Cardinals could be targeting. And again, I think they're a little bit of bigger names than I think what we hope they'd be going a little bit bigger than. Uh, but usually, the Cardinals kind of go with the low hanging fruit. So we'll talk more about those names as we go through. But we did want to just welcome you to the podcast. This is Dealing the Cards. So we go live twice a week to talk about Cardinals baseball. We have other fun content out there as well. We just did a top 10 trade candidates. So some of those are people they're actually linked to, and some are just some that we think would be good fits. But tonight was really interesting, right? They had the rain out on Friday, and then they had the two games today. Andrew, the Sonny Gray performance today was really weird, right? He had 10 strikeouts. He didn't walk a single batter. So those are two great things. But then he allowed 4 solo homers. So, that's not so great. Are you at all concerned about Sonny Gray right now? Or is this kind of like a blip in the radar? I'll give you a little bit of stats. He's a 5-year ERA over the last 30 days over his last 5 starts. So not great, but on the season, still 3.5 ERA. And I mean, when you give up 4 home runs in a game, it's going to balloon that home run metric, and it's going to balloon your ERA a little bit. But I think they were all solo home runs. Was it 3 or 4 today? I'm pretty sure it's 4 home runs.
I think it was 4.
Yeah. So anyways, are you at all concerned about Sonny Gray at this point? Or is it kind of just like, hey, it's a rough stretch, but you still trust he's going to be the guy that they need?
A little bit. I think he got a little bit lucky with that first inning almost home run from Austin Riley. So honestly, he maybe go like 5. It was very close. Could have been a lot worse. With that, if Austin Riley hits that out, who knows what happens? Yep. Honestly, you probably lose the game at that point, which is not what you want to see. But I think Chip mentioned something on the broadcast where that home run from Ozuna, I think, already surpassed the number of home runs that Sonny Gray had given up last year. So he's already given up more, and it's only July, which is a little bit concerning. Obviously, last year, Sonny Gray finished second in Cy Young voting. I don't think he's going to come anywhere close to that. I don't think we really expected him to come close to that. But no, I would say I think going into the season, you kind of have to bake in a little bit of regression. You don't expect Sonny Gray to be a guy that gives you like 2.4 ERA. One thing to note that coming into today, his FIP was extremely low. I think almost a point lower than his actual ERA. And when I looked at comparing him to some All-Stars, because I thought he was snubbed for the All-Star game compared to some guys like Logan Webb, Hunter Green, guys who gave up the runs for the NL and lost the game, and robbed Shohei Ohtani of the MVP. Thanks, guys. But his metrics, I compared him to some of those guys like Tyler Glasnow. Obviously didn't pitch, but you can really compare and see that Sonny Gray's metrics were really similar to a lot of the all-star caliber pitchers. I think his FIP is going to go up quite a bit. Giving up 4 home runs doesn't really help that. Still had 10 plus strikeouts, I think, which is great. That's what you want to see, but I'm not that worried about him. Every starting pitcher is going to go through these sorts of things. I think Garrett Cole's ERA is in the 5s right now. I don't think anyone's worried about him, although he did have some injury concerns. But I'm not too worried about him. I do think I'll stand by this. I think I've stood by this since the start of the season. The Cardinals need another starting pitcher to go with Sonny Gray at the top of the rotation. Yeah. You can't just have him be the only guy, which is great that we're seeing them linked to all these names that we're about to talk about. So they definitely do need to go get another guy like that. I wish they had done it in free agency, not have to give up prospects, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
The rest of the rotation has held up so far. Lynn and Gibson, I don't know. Gibson looked great today. Lynn, Michaelis, whoever, Palante, Matz, who are throwing whoever you want out there. I don't know how it's going to hold up for the rest of the season. So I do want to see another guy at the start of that rotation.
Yeah, and I even think even if we had zero concerns about Sonny Gray, I would still 100% agree. You need another frontline starter, right? Kyle Gibson's been pretty good this year. I'm comfortable with him as my number 3. But you can't sell me as a number 2 starter. You just can't. And if this team is going to do something in October, it needs to have another person at the top of the rotation with Sonny Gray. Totally stand with you there. Something. So I listened to the radio some of the game as well because I had to go somewhere, and then I was watching the game live, and so kind of back and forth. But both broadcasts kept bringing up that Sonny Gray's home runs. He's already surpassed the total of last year, which is true, but I think it's a little bit misleading because last year was just such an anomaly for him in terms of giving up home runs. He had a 5.2% home run to fly ball rate, which is crazy low. I think it might have been the lowest in all of baseball among qualified starters. Someone had to check me on that, but it's super low. The year before that, it was a 9.4. And this year and before today's game is 9.5. But then his career number is 11.4, which is double what he gave up last year. From 2016 to 2020, it ranged between 17.5% to 60, or to 2022 or 2021, sorry, 16.5%. And 2 of those years, or 3 of those seasons, were really excellent for him. He had a 3.5 ERA, 3.7 ERA, and then his second best season of his career was 2.87 ERA, a high fly ball rate in Cincinnati's ballpark of all places. So, like, I think it's more of the fact that Gray just kind of had that problem of, like, or not necessarily a problem this year, but it's just more inflated than it was last year. And that's part of the reason he was so good. Like, we did expect regression, but I think sometimes people say we expect regression, but then freak out when some regression comes. It's like, yeah, this was the part of his game that was obviously going to have some regression. The thing that's encouraging to me, and probably part of the reason why his ERA is not good, not probably, is part of the reason his ERA is not going to balloon here, his FIP might not balloon too much either, is because he's not walking guys, right? For the most part, especially today, he was staying in the strike zone. He got 10 strikeouts. So when you give up solo home runs, yeah, it's frustrating. And man, that was a bad game today. But if he gives up 4 home runs in one game, it's like, okay, well, that was one game that he gave up a third of the home runs he's given up this year. So it's like, you kind of take it both ways. Am I concerned? Yeah, it hasn't been as good from Gray lately as you would want it to be. That's for sure. Like 5 ERA last month. That's not ideal, right? It's not what we paid him for. But I still think he's been good this year. If the season ended today, you'd probably say that's a little bit disappointing. You probably wanted a little bit more from him instead of a 3.5 ERA. But again, he's striking out the world, so his stuff looks good. I feel great about him going to a postseason series. I have no concerns. It's kind of funny today, though, watching some of Twitter meltdown and being like, oh, this guy's supposed to be the ace, and he's done. It's like, okay, he had a bad game. I saw one person tweet out, like, this is year 1 of the contract. And I'm like, okay, like, let's not act like Gray. Someone even compared him to Goldschmidt. Like, this is sometimes the amount of, like, we were talking about him as an all-star snub a couple weeks ago. Now people are freaking out. Okay, calm down. Calm down. Sonny Gray is going to be just fine. I do think, though.
Also, like the Braves, who
Yeah.
were like, right? Like, I don't know.
And I know they've been slow, but like, I'm sorry, Ozuna's an MVP candidate. Austin Riley is an MVP candidate perennially, right? Like Albie's, like, you're right. It's like, is Matt Olson, whatever. So, oh man, Tyler O'Neill just hit a 2-run home run. So that's from Thomas. You should go read his stuff on Redbird Reigns. He's been awesome to be on the team with us. So we need to get you on here soon, Thomas. We haven't talked about it in a while, but we need to get you on.
Against my
So, yeah.
Dodgers too. That's very sad.
What was that?
Against my Dodgers, very sad.
Oh, well, we don't talk about your Dodgers here unless it's because the Cardinals are going to surpass them. Anyways,
Hopefully,
I'm
I'm all for that.
We'll see.
The
I do think
Brewers
it's
are going to the extra innings too. So
okay. If they could drop a game, that'd be great. It is interesting though. The Mets have caught fire a little bit, right? Like Reds, whatever. But the Cubs have been playing better lately. The Pirates, so like the Cardinals, I still think they're going to be a playoff team pretty firmly, but they do have teams behind them starting to heat up. So you got to fight them off a little bit here. But something that's like a weird, encouraging thing to me, Andrew, but I'm like, at the same time, I'm like, I don't understand how it still isn't producing as much as it should be is the offense. Because you look at it, Alec Burleson right now is on fire. Wilson Contreras is on fire. Brendan Donovan's been great. Nolan Arenado has been a lot better lately. Is like an 850 OPS over the last, like, since July started to this month. Lars Nootbaar, kind of hit or miss. Sometimes he's performing, sometimes not. But there's a lot more bats in this lineup. Nolan Gorman had a home run today. Like, there's a lot more guys producing right now than there was earlier in the year. But the offense still isn't always putting across the runs that it should be. Obviously, they put up 9 tonight, but they put up 2 earlier in the day, right? And going into the first game today, I think they had like 5 or 6 straight games with 10 plus hits or something. I can't remember on the broadcast, but the offense is producing more but then the run totals aren't necessarily coming all the way. Is there a clear like tweak that you can see there? I know we both know what it is. I'm just setting you up to say what everyone's saying. But I think there's a certain
Um,
player that probably needs to move in the order now.
yeah, I
What do
think
you
Paul
think?
Goldschmidt needs to stop batting cleanup. Like he went
Oh,
0 for
that'd be a
5
brilliant.
in game 2
What a
with
brilliant
3
idea, Andrew.
strikeouts. Right? Like I don't know. Maybe he should just like bat 8th or 7th or like I don't know, just not 4th and not above that. It's like the most frustrating thing because he just looks lost at the plate. He's looked lost all season. Honestly, I don't know if he's ever going to figure it out. Like
Yeah.
Kareem puts it in here. Herrera's better than
Whoa.
Goldie. I don't think.
Oh, sorry. I just loaded up Baseball Savant. They have a new metric. They have bat speed on the percentile rankings, which I don't think was on there
Okay.
before. I know
I
it's a
think it's
stat they
always
tracked,
yeah.
but it wasn't on the percentile rankings.
Oh, okay.
But then squared up percentage is on there now. That's kind of fun. Yeah,
Cool.
Goldie is top tier in hard hit rate and average exit velocity, and X slug is like 68th percentile, but everything else is blue. It's not been good. So anyway, sorry. You can keep going. I just was surprised by that.
He should just bat lower in the lineup, and his metrics look fine. It's just for whatever reason he can't put it together when runners are in scoring position. And like we're nearing the end here with Paul Goldschmidt. I don't know what we can do. And in the first game today, he went 0 for 3 with a walk. So what was it? 9 plate appearances, had 1 walk, struck out. What was it? Struck out 4 times. It's just not like productive at all anymore. And like, obviously he can win me back with like a productive week and a half, week or two, just playing like he was before. But even if he's batting 8th, like Mason Wynn was batting 8th for the first like month and a half of the season, like we were getting productive him. And like, we don't need him to be batting cleanup anymore, right? Like you've seen a lot of the managers against us throw the lefties and throw the righties, but play the matchups really well against our lineup. And it's pretty obvious why, right? Because you have Contreras, Goldschmidt, Donovan, Arenado, like 3 out of those 4 guys are righties. And then you have Nootbaar, Ciani, Gorman, and Wynn and Burleson, and then you have a bunch of lefties like lined up in there. If you could switch Donovan and move him up to like, or Nootbaar batting 4th, you kind of have the lefty, righty, lefty kind of order, and you can alternate a little bit more in that too. So like strategically, that I think would benefit the Cardinals, just to not be able to like play the matchups as well as other managers have been able to do. And honestly, I don't even know why Arenado's batting so low anymore, right? Like I feel like he's shown the stretch that like maybe the power isn't there. Maybe bat him second. Like I don't know. Maybe try something out like that. Maybe go Donovan, Arenado, Burleson. I don't think he's quick enough to bat leadoff. Like I don't know about that, but like maybe go like Donovan, Arenado, Burleson, Contreras, Nootbaar, Wynn, Goldschmidt, Gorman, Ciani, or something like that. Kind of switch it up a little bit. And I feel like that is something that I'm a little bit frustrated by. I don't know if I articulated it that well, but essentially Goldie just stop batting cleanup. It's not going to work.
No. There's this scene in Moneyball where Billy Bean trades away, I think it's Carlos Pena, because the manager won't stop starting him. And he's just like, okay, if you're not going to stop starting him, I'm just going to trade him so you can't put him in the lineup.
If Mo trades him right now, I'll buy the water bottle. I don't have it yet. I'll buy it.
I won't. I'm gonna say though, I'm pretty sure this isn't just an Ollie decision. I'm pretty sure Mosaic also wants Goldschmidt in the lineup, so I don't think Mo's sitting there be like, take him out of lineup, and Ollie's like, no, he has to back cleanup. I doubt that's the conversation happening. But
that sounds like
if I were
differences
that does, and I don't think there are philosophical differences right now, at least in that area. But oh gosh, it just made me laugh. It's like that would be, he's not getting traded. I'm not saying he's gonna get traded, but it makes me laugh. It's like maybe they just need to trade him because he keeps batting cleanup. I am seeing like very rarely do you see a Paul Goldschmidt supporter at this point, and I like him, right? Like there's some people that act like having like Paul Goldschmidt has been a huge disappointment in St. Louis, and it was just a bad tenure with him. Goldschmidt's been awesome. Like this is the one year he's not been good, and it's okay to acknowledge at the end of July, we're almost 100 games in the season, that he's not playing good enough. And this isn't just the 2024 thing. 2023, he had a steep decline from his MVP year, which was to be expected, but more of a decline than we thought it would be. And the second half numbers started not looking great. You could even go back to his MVP year and the last month of baseball. He started to fall off a little bit there. Like, it's been a slow trajectory for a while, and it really plateaued this year. It's okay to say, hey, Paul Goldschmidt, we support you. I'm not even saying you should bench him. You shouldn't, because what do you don't really have a. I mean, I guess you could make an argument for Ivan Herrera, I guess, but like, it's okay. It's okay to keep
Contreras
if
to the
this can.
outfield again.
No. Burles into first base. Okay, no. And Goldschmidt is a good defender, which I think goes like you don't really think about it until you don't have it. But I think if I were constructing a lineup tomorrow, I would go Wynn, Burley, Contreras, Donovan, Nato, Newt, and then from there you do like Goldie, Gorm, Ciani or something like that, like or even Gorm, Goldie, Ciani. And if Goldie heats up, great, you move him back up. Like that's happened with Nato, right? They moved him down. I think honestly,
Well, they
I could
haven't moved him
see
back up, which
no,
is
but
annoying.
I'm saying like they made the move with Nato to move him down and it's working. And so now like I think you can do the same thing with Goldie. Like if there was someone that I think would take it more to heart being moved down the order, I think it would be Nato. And he's been fine. I think Goldie understands the game. He understands, hey, like I haven't been playing well. I get it. So move him down the lineup. I think it would help out a lot. And then you're getting more at bats to your best hitters. I also think you can kind of help a little bit with this lefty righty lefty thing a little bit because you look at the bottom of this lineup right now and it's just a ton of lefties at times. And you saw the bullpen from the Braves kind of take advantage of that at times. They go matchups with Aaron Bummer a little bit. So I'm with you. I think most people are with you. It's time to move Goldschmidt down. It's been time to move Goldschmidt down for a while. But now that you have another right-handed bat you can flip him with, I think it makes it a lot easier. But I would actually move Donnie fourth, and then Nato fifth. But to Kareem's point, if I were actually doing the lineup, I'd probably have Donnie second with the on-base skills and Burley fourth, the bat to drive him in. But I mean, I see the argument that Burley's just been so good batting second that you just keep him there. So if you disagree with that, Tega and Goldie, I mean, that's fine. I just think at some point, like, this isn't 2 months of baseball anymore, right? Like, this isn't 50 games. This is we're 100 games into the year. At some point, you gotta shake things up a little bit. And this lineup just the game keeps finding Goldie in big spots where it's like, man, I'd rather the game be finding Nato right now or Goldschmidt or not Goldschmidt or Donovan or Burley or something like that. In the past, Goldschmidt, yes. And gosh, I really hope he pulls it together at some point. But for right now, it's not happening. So any other things of the lineup at all, or you kind of feeling that?
Yeah, I don't know. If they add another bat, that would be fine. I understand the sentiment of not trading Goldschmidt to like keep the clubhouse dynamic. I understand that, and clubhouse dynamic is extremely important.
They're not doing that.
Are we going to talk about that trade candidate that you had in mind that we're not linked to? But
we could talk about that a little bit.
But like, it's super important. Last year, the clubhouse just didn't seem to be right from the beginning. Some guys in there that I guess didn't sort of mesh well with the Cardinals clubhouse culture. But like, I understand keeping him around for that. But like, if payroll is a concern, if we're not going to go over the luxury tax, I think there is a world where trading Goldie is a smart idea. Like, just to dump his salary on some other team, even if you like take half of it for the rest of the year. Like, I don't think that will happen. I don't think that's even really worth talking about much longer. But like, there's a world where like that does make sense. It's just not gonna happen.
I was joking earlier about, and even that was more so like, hey, you won't stop batting cleanup, I'll just get rid of him. But like, I'd actually much rather keep Goldschmidt on the roster the whole year, no matter what it looks like right now, because I have more confidence that he can get it going at some point. So even if he has to move to a bench role at some point, like, I mean, at some point you got to like when they get closer to playoffs, at some point you're going to have to make hard decisions like this, and Crawford or Carpenter have to go. Ivan Herrera starts playing every day. Goldie gets like benched more often. Like, that kind of stuff will legit have to happen if Goldie's not playing well. But I would rather have Goldschmidt on my team than like trade him out for Kevin Pillar or something like that, because there's still a chance Goldie is not saying
also like Kevin Pillar, which you just don't want.
But my point is, like, there's still a chance that Goldie is a productive hitter, one that you want in your lineup every day. And so I'm not going to just give him away for nothing and have him turn into that for someone else when you need offense right now. So if they had a bunch of options, like if Jordan Walker's playing super awesome, or like Luke and Baker looked like the guy. I hope the Cardinals win the World Series too. If Luke and Baker looked like the guy right now, then yeah, like, oh, now I get it. They're joking. Like, I hope they can win the World Series. Okay, that one went over my head. Like, there's some things like that, but there's no bat right now that I'm like clearly should be playing over Goldschmidt every day. So it's move Goldie down the order. That's the thing you need to do. So I know we do want to get to some trade talk though, which is kind of like I'd say the big news of the weekend, just because we typically expect the Cardinals kind of to be like Cal Quantrill or like Austin Gomber, but it's actually bigger names they're connected to right now, which is pretty fun. But before we do that, I want to talk about an opportunity to trade if you're interested in trading cards at all. And if you've been watching lately, you know that one of our presenting sponsors now is 314 Sports Cards and Collectibles, and they have awesome deals going on down there all the time. They do sports trading cards as well as Pokemon cards as well. They're located on 314, or 314 is located on 9640 Olive Boulevard in Olivet. They're open 10 to 5 Monday through Friday and 9 to 4 on Saturday, so close on Sundays. But if you're interested in buying, selling, trading cards, so sports cards, Pokemon cards, all of that, they have the newest packs, boxes, and single cards of local cards and stars around the league. I've started collecting a little bit again recently. I've got a Tyler O'Neill card I can't find anywhere. It's an old one, so that's kind of funny. But then a Victor Scott card as well. I used to be into stacking cards for a long time, and I think I want to get back into it. It sounds like Andrew's been getting back into it. And so I already know that some of you listening have already started looking at 314 for some sports cards. So if you found some deals or found some cards you're looking at, let us know in the chat. Oh, no. Andrew's got a Shota card. Oh, no. If you're watching an audio, he just showed it. So his arch nemesis, Shota Imanaga, and Andrew. The collab I didn't know we needed. Did you just get that?
Yeah, I just pulled it out of a pack. It was unfortunate. It was like the best card I got in the whole box. I was like, oh, I can't escape him.
Well, if you want to pull a Shota card or you want to pull any other card that's not a Cub, go to 314 Sports Cards. Let them know we sent you as well, so they know you came from the Deal on the Cards podcast. They got really great stuff going on over there. So again, trades though, we want to talk about some cards, and maybe you can find one of these cards coming up. The big news of today, I want to start with the ones that John Denton linked. And again, this isn't just him speculating. This is that he has a source confirmed to him that these are two names the Cardinals are looking at. Specifically, it's Nathan Eovaldi of the Texas Rangers and then Zach Eflin of the Tampa Bay Rays. Now, a couple of things that have actually confirmed both of those from other people want to point out. So Robert Murray of Fansided, who's the MLB Insider, National Insider. Robert, you've been awesome to me. I appreciate your help in my baseball writing stuff. But he connected the Cardinals to the Rays already. So I knew this is going to happen in the chat. I know people don't like John Denton. This is different. That this is not his botching tweets thing. This is not other stuff like that people get mad at. This is a source he has from the organization. The Eflin one has been confirmed, or at least the Cardinals and the Rays being connected to each other has been confirmed by another insider. And then I think it was on Friday or Thursday, Derek Gould put out an article and also linked the Cardinals to Nathan Eovaldi, just like John Denton did. So that's two different sources for both of those names. Derek Gould specifically also linked Max Scherzer. So these were more of names he's throwing out there, but Derek Gould does not just throw out names to like speculate on things unless he's being very clear. He's just speculating. These are names that he's at least like, okay, this makes sense. Or they might already be talking about it. He also brought up Tyler Anderson. He brought up, up Yusei Kikuchi and Eric Fetty as well. So a lot of names out there, but the two big ones that have been confirmed by multiple different people that I think we should talk about is Nathan Eovaldi, Zach Eflin. Andrew, when you hear those two names, what is your thought on that?
I feel like that's exactly the right ballpark I want the Cardinals shopping in. It's not Garrett Crochet. Not going to talk about him at all. It's just not happening, not worth talking about. I mean, we have like 60,000 people on TikTok telling us why, right? Like, that has so many views. And like, I understand, like, people can't get through a 30-second TikTok without commenting, oh, you guys are dumb. Like, no, that's not happening. Yeah. Eflin, Eovaldi, both somewhat rental pieces with like a year or two of control left. I think Eovaldi has some sort of weird opt out in there.
Yeah, Eovaldi is a
So
vesting option, which I think it's
right,
like he's on track to hit, and then Eflin's got 18 million due next year,
okay.
which basically means he's
So
going to be traded by the Rays. They're not paying that.
yeah, I mean they're not going to keep him around for that. Kareem, the Cubs have a middling farm system.
Oh gosh,
Thanks, Sandy.
good callback. Good callback. Okay,
Um,
Eovaldi and Eflin. What do you think about those names?
yeah,
And also,
I
chat.
mean
Let us know what you're thinking.
those are probably two of the top pitching names out there. I think Eflin didn't even make our like top 10 trade targets because I just didn't even
No.
think it was realistic to go after someone like that, which is great, right? Like they're being aggressive. I think they finally realized like, hey, maybe this team has the pieces that they need. Maybe they listened to Deal in the Cards and they heard me say that the Cardinals have a chance to pass the Dodgers or whatever. Which again, like maybe I don't know, but I think it's great to see that they're being aggressive.
Hey, we did get it
Going out.
confirmed this weekend. They do listen, so
Do they?
they
Okay.
not necessarily sure who all they is, but some do listen. So
Yeah,
Andrew,
that's good.
shoot your shot, man. Let them know.
Yeah, I mean, I think Eflin, Eovaldi, either one would be great. Eovaldi, I think, is my preferred one. I think they would have to give up less to get him in return, just because I think some people are viewing him as a rental with that vesting option, and he was just great in the postseason last year for the Rangers. He has that experience. I don't think Eflin has. I don't know if he's logged any postseason innings. Maybe a couple for the Rays
He
last
might
year,
have with
but
the Phillies the year before that too, because he was with Philly until
maybe
through 2022.
right.
But
But Eovaldi's shown it. He took his team to World Series last year. I think he did it with the Red Sox. So I'd be super excited to have him. Either one would be great. Like much better than a flyer on Jose Quintana or like Jordan Montgomery type. Even though both of those were great,
yep,
I think both of those, Eovaldi and Eflin, both have a higher ceiling than Quintana Montgomery types, which is great. I just want to see the Cardinals make a big swing like that. But also that same deadline that we got Montgomery and Quintana, we were in the Juan Soto sweepstakes, and we ended up with really nothing from that. So you never know. This could all just be smoke and mirrors from Mo and company. I wouldn't be too surprised. Not going to get my hopes up too high. We could be talking about all of these names and then just end up with Tyler Anderson and Kevin Pillar, and that's it. So you never know.
gosh, Tyler Anderson, I think is like the absolute. I have a story in the queue that I'm waiting to figure out when I want to put it out of guys pitchers do not trade for. Tyler Anderson is number one to me. He everything about him screams, I am due for major regression.
Josh,
Everything.
remember when we were talking about these guys from international leagues last year, and there's this
Yeah.
lefty who had some pretty
Oh,
bad
yeah.
peripherals, and I mean, maybe you just speak it into existence.
He did it on progressing some. But Tyler Anderson's a fastball changeup guy. And the changeup, I mean, the fastball he deuces weak contact sometimes is below 90, though. The changeup is pretty good, but again, he does. So here's the thing: he's a fly ball pitcher. He does not get balls on the ground. He does not strike guys out. He also walks the world. I don't trust Tyler Anderson, and I don't want to pay him next year. Like people keep saying, "Oh, and also you get another year." I'm like, I don't want another year. I would rather him be a rental. I'm so out on that. I'd rather pay Gibson and Lynn again. Like I'm so out on Tyler Anderson. Please
You'd
do
rather
not
pick
trade for
Gibson
Tyler.
and Lynn again? I don't know
Oh,
about that.
I mean
Oh,
Gibson for
Gibson,
sure.
yeah, but
But like Lynn at 10 million is the equivalent to me
that's
of
fair.
Tyler Anderson. So like I don't want the Cardinals acquiring Tyler Anderson and then picking up both Gibson and Lynn's options. And then next year's rotation is Gray, Anderson, Lynn, Michaelis, and Gibson. Like, please
That's
no,
fair.
do not do that. Do not do that. So don't want him at all. My thoughts on both Eovaldi and Eflin is you're exactly right. I think that's the type, like there's a tier below, a tier above those two and below the crochet tier that it's a pitcher of his own that we can talk about later if we want to, that it seems like no Cardinal fans want to bring back, but would be really interesting.
Oh,
But then that next tier to me is Max Scherzer, Nathan Eovaldi, Zach Eflin. And actually you'd probably put Eflin and Eovaldi over Scherzer because A, he's not 40, or they're not 40. They don't have the huge injury stuff they've been going through. Max's strikeout rate's way down right now. Stuff is down. So he's been doing well in the couple starts he's been back. But Eflin and Eovaldi, again, people probably got exposed to Eovaldi in the 2 postseasons he's pitched really well in. That's something you love, the idea of bringing in a guy who's just, like, built for October. He's not as much of a swing and miss guy as I think people would think he is. He's about an 8 strikeouts per 9 type guy. I'd have to figure out what his, K percentage is. It's 23% this year, which is near his career high, which is good, but he's more of a ground ball pitcher. Zach Eflin, again, is a ground ball pitcher that I think fits within what the Cardinals like to do, but he's not like Miles Michaelis ground ball. Like, I think he's a way more effective version of that who still gets some swing and miss. I really like the idea of either guy. Seeing some chats in here, and I think it's right. Both of them would be pretty pricey. I don't think they would come cheap, especially because you're getting that extra year of control. But I think the number on both of them, like, I guess I don't know if people really understand what it costs to get starting pitchers in free agency. Like, 18 million is really not that crazy for a guy that you're expecting to be a high end number 3, low end number 2. Which for Zach Eflin and Nathan Eovaldi's a number 2. Zach Eflin, it's like, hey, he's maybe a high end 3, but you're really thinking he could pitch like a 2. That's not crazy money to pay for someone like that. So I'm in on both of them. It would be expensive though. We'd have to kind of think about what those packages would look like. You also are a little bit scared of trading at the Rays because they love to rip you off. But when it's someone like Eflin, who they're not trying to get off an asset that's like declining, it's, hey, he's about to make 18 million next year, so we don't want to pay this, so we're going to maximize the return we can get. Now, the guys that they're asking for, you might want to be hesitant to give them, but I'm not like scared that Eflin's going to be damaged goods by any means. I do think though, if they trade for Eflin or Eovaldi or some of the other names they've been linked to, not all of them, this is the kind of move that I hoped they would make, and I think makes them a serious contender. They're still below the Phillies for sure. Like, it's not even close. They're probably going to be below the Dodgers because, like, they're going to add. But you never know. Their rotation right now looks really bad. With how the Braves have been playing, I think you're right in that same tier as them. So I really like the idea of adding Eovaldi or Eflin. But yeah, I'll be interested in what the puke point is. I think if Jack Flaherty gets traded and Garrett Crochet gets traded, man, if Tariq Skubal could get traded, that would be huge too. But the more starters that end up getting traded, the more helpful I think that is for the Cardinals. But I do think it is worth noting that Jordan Montgomery was probably the best rental traded last year and took 2 borderline top 100 prospects. Jack Flaherty should be the best rental available, but Nathan Eovaldi and Zach Eflin both have control. So that's not going to be necessarily playing in the Cardinals' favor when it comes to giving up stuff. So out of some of those other names, though, that have been linked to them, these are more from Derek Gould, though, less like, so there's not any others I've heard reported yet. But what do you think about like Max Scherzer, some of these other guys they've been linked to potentially?
Max Scherzer is someone I'm super interested in. I think that makes a lot of sense. Honestly, I want 2 starters at the deadline. It's never going to happen.
Oh,
but
not of that quality. They won't do that.
I know. I would like to have 2 starters. But I mean, if you go out and you get Scherzer and then you get like another like reliever that can pitch high leverage, like a Estevez, maybe not Estevez. Estevez, over the offseason, he was my like under the radar guy. I was like, oh, no one's talking about him. And then he just blew up this season. He's having a great season and everyone wants him at the deadline. It's like, oh, okay, great. We should have gotten him before the offseason, but whatever. I think if you could get Scherzer and another like top tier reliever, and then maybe like a bench bat like a Kevin Pillar, then I'd be like really happy with our deadline acquisitions. Obviously, 2 starters, nothing else would be, well, 2 starters and a reliever would probably be my ideal trade deadline, but I don't think that's going to happen unless the second starter is like, I don't know, Madison Bumgarner or Zach Greinke or some like random guy that like nobody wants, right? So I don't think that's going to happen, but Scherzer would be great. I think he has the postseason experience that I'm looking for. Not all of it is good postseason experience, but maybe he'll finally like figure that out when he's back with his hometown team. I mean, he's wanted to be here in the past, which is what Mo's looking for. And
oh man,
finally at the right age. I keep saying it, and I feel like there's still a little bit left in that tank. To give you at least for the rest of this season, and you can sign him to a Lance Lynn type deal next year, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah,
but he's someone I'd be super interested in. Jack Flaherty, you're selling me on him more and more every time you talk to me about this. I mean, I don't know. It's just Wilson Contreras is our best player, and I don't really want that mix back in our clubhouse if I don't have to, especially with what you're going to have to give up for him. Like,
yeah, it's going to cost a lot.
I think what I said yesterday was even if the Tigers wanted only Dylan Carlson, I would trade Flaherty for Dylan Carlson and promptly flip Flaherty to LA, get an actual prospect return, and then get something else. Right? Like, I don't know. I just don't think I want that mix back in the clubhouse. And maybe it was overplayed. Maybe they've worked past it. But it's just not something I'm really keen on revisiting, especially with how last year went with both of those two in the same clubhouse. So, I don't know. It's my own personal preference. But
yeah. I understand why people are out on Jack. I understand it because we did just go through the experience for a while and it was frustrating a lot of the time. My point to why I think it's worth considering, and I think people actually at least have an open mind to, is Jack has been one of the best starters in all baseball this year. He just really has. And you look at his peripherals, he's not walking people, which has been a problem for him at times. He's striking out the world. Both are really great things. He's inducing ground balls when he's not striking out guys. He looks great. And, you know, guess what? When he was healthy in St. Louis, Jack Flaherty looked great. I kind of think
healthy last year.
But, like, he was coming back from stuff. So, like, and also last year was just, like, the year from hell for the Cardinals, right? Like, but I kind of think I wonder if Jack last year kind of humbled him a little bit because he's healthy. And honestly, I don't know if this is true or not, but maybe he's like, yeah, this is all the Cardinals' fault. I just need to go somewhere else. Well, he went to Baltimore and he got smashed and he ended up in the bullpen. And I think that kind of like, and then he went to free agency and teams didn't really want him. Like Detroit sold him on the fact that, hey, you can make me better. We can make you better, Jack. We can get you to what you want to be. And he's been awesome. So I don't like, even if the clubhouse stuff is still would be a real issue, like I think the Cardinals would look at themselves and be like, hey, we can add honestly, a guy who's better than Sonny Gray right now to our rotation. I mean, we got to put our differences aside to figure out how to work this out because this guy could put us in a really, really strong position. Now,
we all know Mo loves working out his differences with people.
That one I don't think is a huge deal. Like, I don't think he would be like, oh, I mean, I think it plays into it, but I don't think it would play into it enough where he just wouldn't even consider Jack. But who knows? I think he's more concerned about how it affects the team overall than like his dynamic with him. But again, I think Jack would be awesome. I do think the price point would be super high though. And assuming Scooble is not going to be moved and it's only Crochet, well then Baltimore or LA is going to miss out on one of them and they're going to want Jack. Both of them have way more to offer than you do. I think it'd be really hard to pull it off.
Want him back?
I don't know, but I mean, who knows? I mean, if St. Louis would consider him, I think Baltimore would. But anyways, I think it's unrealistic because of how much it would cost and other teams wanting him as well. But I think it's worth considering. I just don't like that people completely throw it out because I mean, I get it. I just don't think it's fair to completely throw it out with how stinking good he's been. We're not talking about bringing in a pretty good starter here. We're talking about bringing in probably the best arm that'll be moved outside of Garrett Crochet. So that's just my 2 cents with it. The Max Scherzer thing I think would be really awesome as well, like you said earlier. So really the only name in there I don't want is Tyler Anderson. The Eric Fetty would be like kind of like not, I want to say bad, but like a little bit disappointing. Like I would want a little bit more, but I think he would be very Cardinals-y and could be productive. I do think the more and more I think about Zach Eflin, the more and more I think he could be like when they got Jordan Montgomery, people are like, and then he was like really good down the stretch for him. I think Zach Eflin could be that kind of pitcher. So that'd be really helpful and awesome. So, but Cardinals down the stretch should be competing, should be in games. And one more sponsor we want to talk to you about today that could help you a lot as you're going to the ballpark is SeatGeek. So if you haven't used SeatGeek before, they're really great for buying tickets at good prices, whether it's for a Cardinal game, a concert, any other sporting event. And if you use our code Newt News, not Note News, that's the Blues podcast you should subscribe to, but Newt News, our former podcast name, for your first purchase on SeatGeek, you get $20 off your first order. So that's pretty awesome, especially at the prices of tickets these days. You could almost go to a game. Like, I think you have to spend $50, but if you go in on tickets with a friend, like you go for pretty cheap to a game. So again, if you want to go to a game for a lot cheaper this summer, if it's your first time on going on SeatGeek, use the code NewtNews to get $20 off your order. So before we wrap up today, unless there's more trade, yes, thanks SeatGeek. If there's any other trade stuff we want to talk about, let me know. I do think if you guys want to go to Red Romance, I put out some. I've seen some people say, "What's a fair package for Jack?" I think I put together some really strong ones that I think honestly could cost more than what I put in there at times. But I think gives you kind of the like peak point there for the Cardinals. But we did get some injury stuff. That's just like, come on, Tommy Edman, what's going on? But let's start with Riley O'Brien. He pitched today. That's great, and he looked good. So like, just as good as a trade, you're getting Riley O'Brien back for the bullpen soon. Or Chris Roycroft probably.
No,
I think they keep Gio around for a little bit longer. So there is that, which is encouraging, but then the Tommy Edman stuff, like, come on, man. So apparently his ankle was giving him issues again, the one he hurt during his ramping up the baseball activities. And yeah, so do you think Tommy Edman is gonna be back this year?
I don't know. At this point, I think if he's not, like, he's supposed to start back his rehab on Tuesday, right? That's what they all said.
Yeah, he should be.
I think if he's not ready to go by the trade deadline, you have to go out and you have to get somebody. And that's a really tough position to be in. But I mean, he's kind of putting you in the situation, right? Like, is he even real at this point? Like, did he get abducted by like the cartel or something? Like, where is he? Like, where did he go? Like, are they just making this up? Like, we see blurry videos of him warming up, and it's like that could just be like a stunt double. Like, I don't know. Like, that just could be somebody else. And like, joking aside, like he needs to make it back, right? Like, we need him to be part of this team. We need a right-handed bat to platoon in center field. And if you can't get that with Tommy Edman, if you don't have the security, at least go out and get, I don't know, like someone's bound to DFA a guy that can maybe hit against lefties and play a little bit of center field, right? Like, you don't have to spend prospect capital on like Tommy Pham or Kevin Pillar, like if you truly think that he's going to be back this season. But also, you don't know what he's going to look like, right? Someone who's gone through that much injury, that much missed time, could have a lot of rust and just might not be that effective at the plate or defensively, right? Like with that ankle, with the wrist injuries, like his mobility might be limited a little bit. He might not be as good defensively as you thought, and maybe you have to go with Siani a lot more in center field just for the defense. Dalton says trade Tommy Edman maybe to the Yankees, right? They seem to like our injured center fielders, all right? Like, I don't know, give us
the Rays.
Oh yeah, maybe. But like, I think he does have to come back for a couple of games to show you that he's not like dead before you trade him, right? Like, so.
Well, Bader was hurt when the Yankees traded for him.
Yeah, but he hadn't missed the whole season. Like, he played like.
That's true. But I would say Tommy Edman's the far more valuable player. I mean, I know people love Harrison Bader, but I think Tommy Edman's worth more than that.
I mean, he's not going to play any shortstop. Maybe some second base if Glaber's bad, but like, I don't know where he would fit in.
Yeah, I don't think the Yankees. I mean, I legitimately.
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying, like.
Yeah, the Rays though. He feels like a very Rays player to me. I'm just not saying
he does. But like, I mean, they're not going to hope on contending this year, are they? Like, if they're trading all those guys.
But you're also. I mean, they would be getting him for next year, though.
Yeah, I guess. But he get expensive. They probably trade him too.
He's just at like $8 million because he already got his years bought out. I think that'd be enticing the Rays. Is that you see where I'm going? Like, they already know how much he's going to cost next year.
Also, I'm sorry, I drafted Tommy Edman in the
shortstop.
When we did our award draft, I drafted Tommy Edman along with Paul Goldschmidt, Jordan Walker, Nolan Gorman, and Miles Michaelis. So
I think I might be winning the award draft, which I feel
you might be. Victor Scott's making a dent in your total, but like,
it's true. But I did get Mason Wynn. I got all the starters. I feel pretty good about it. I think I might have. Did I get Contreras? I don't think I did.
No, I think Sandy got Contreras.
Anyways, so
I have mixed feelings about that. I don't know. I kind of want to pass them, but if Ohtani got, they intentionally walked him.
Who do they play again?
The Red Sox.
Oh, okay.
Of course, they intentionally walked him. That's lame.
Here's my thing on the Edman. I think he'll be back this year. I'm not like he's close, and it's the ankle. Like, if it was the wrist, that's when I'd be like, whoa, we might not see him. This is where the two things that changed for me. Do you trade him? You got.
Yeah,
I think it has
sure.
to
I
be.
mean, if you're willing to give me like something valuable, if you're willing to give me a starter, then
I
sure,
think it has to
right?
be on the table. I think it has to be on the table that he's a trade chip. But the
Like
thing
if
that
you'll give
works,
me the equivalent of Jordan Montgomery 2 years ago, then yeah, absolutely. But like if you're going to give me a reliever, then no,
which I
right?
don't
It
know if
all depends
that,
on what you can get for him.
yeah, I don't know if that trade's available, but like thinking about two teams here that have been mentioned, the Rangers and the Rays. Both of them, if they sell, they're not looking to rebuild, they're looking to
Or the
retool.
Mariners.
Or the yeah, I
No,
don't know if Tommy
they
Edman helps
need
their
a guy
offense,
that.
but
Well, they need a
yeah,
guy that doesn't like strike out 50% of the
that's
time,
true.
right? Like
But I do think
where
Tommy
bats over
could,
like 180.
yeah, I don't think Tommy's gonna be traded, but we know when I remember saying I think Harrison Bader should be traded and could be traded at that deadline. And everyone was like, "You don't trade Harrison Bader, and he's injured," and then it happened. So I think it could happen. I've got my receipts for that one, but I think a Tommy Edman trade could happen. I think it's interesting. I think it's worth considering. I think the bigger thing, the more likely thing is I think this really like they have to go get that right-handed bat that can play center field. Like I was getting to that point where it's like, well, Tommy Edman is actually about to be back. So I don't know if it's that big of a deal. Like, I still want it, but it's not like a need. I think it's a need now. Like, you got to get Randall Grichuk or Kevin Pillar or Tommy Pham or whoever it is. Brent Rooker is not happening. I
Mike
just don't.
Trout's going on rehab soon, so you know.
It's true. You maybe Mike Trout. Kind of doubt it. Or I don't know, something like that. Mark Canna, like you can play New Barn center field some, that's fine. But like they got to get a right-handed bat. You just have to at this point. I don't think you can trust that Tommy's going to be that guy for you. And Goldie is not turning it around. And yeah, I think that's the big thing for me is you got to go get the right-handed bat now. But I do think it's worth thinking about. I don't think you can get like Nathan Eovaldi or Zach Eflin straight up for Tommy Edman. But like instead of having to give up Ivan Herrera in one of those trades, or instead of having to give up multiple good prospects, could you offset some of that cost capital by including Tommy Edman in the deal? Again, I don't know what that means. I think it's just something interesting to think about. They should at least be considering it. I'm not advocating trade Tommy Edman. I just think it's worth considering. You've got your center field options right now. You've got your shortstop options. Tommy Edman would be a valuable piece to this team when he comes back, but I think the uncertainty gives me at least some reason to consider moving him. But again, with a huge weakness being against left-handed pitching this year, they could really use a Tommy Edman in their lineup. So again, please don't hear me as saying they need to trade Tommy Edman. I just think it's interesting to think about now with how frustrating this season has gone and how just unreliable he is at this point. So it's not okay. I should back up. He's not unreliable. Just how unreliable this injury process has been. Right? He's not Lars Newpark. He's definitely not Tyler O'Neill. Like Tommy Edman's been one of the most dependable Cardinals. He's the definition of a Cardinal. He's a great teammate, great guy. People love him. No Tommy Edman hate here. I just think what way the Cardinals have built their team long term, Tommy Edman doesn't seem to be a part of it. And I think he could be a trade chip, but that might be the offseason. So and then I'm really excited about getting Riley O'Brien back soon. So
I'm excited about maybe getting rid of Gio.
That would feed families for you.
I mean, sure. I have been an advocate for like moving Gio, like trading him like at the start of the season. I didn't want him on the team, and like look where we are now. Like this is great. Well, it's not great for me. I think he's cost us a game or two, but whatever. We just didn't extend it.
Yeah.
Dream says trade Sinisi.
See, I think Sinisi is one of those guys that's more valuable to you than he is to someone else, right? Like, I don't think anyone gives you anything real for Siani right now, but Sinisi, but who knows? So anyways, I think that's all we really got for tonight. Again, hopefully they get the series win tomorrow against the Braves. That'd be huge. Anything you're looking for tomorrow or this coming week?
Yeah, just win the series, please. You didn't have to use Helsley today. You have your bullpen all lined up. Helsley didn't pitch the All-Star game, like because he was hoping. Like honestly, he could have pitched the All-Star game and been fine. Like I don't know, but just make sure that like you win the series. Take 2 or 3 from the Braves. You have a really tough stretch coming up. You have 3 games against the Pirates. They're going to be really, really important. And I mean, you have to face Skeens on Tuesday, which is annoying, but I don't know. Maybe you finally give him his first loss, right? Like, I doubt it. I think Paul Goldschmidt against Paul Skeens is like just horrible. Like it's elder abuse. But
hey, but the left-handed bats hit the right-handed pitching good. So
That's true. That's true.
Call
But
teams
Miles
a different
Michaelis
animal,
tomorrow.
though. Oh man.
Yeah. Miles Michaelis tomorrow. Whatever. Right. Either. I don't know. We'll see. I guess.
It'll either be a blow up or he'll be awesome and he won't get run support. It's pretty much nothing in between. So
I mean, they're starting like some rookie guy, right? Like I don't know, Schwellenbach.
Oh my gosh! But you remember last year when that like random no-name pitcher made his debut for the Braves in early 2023, and he shoved against the Cardinals? I just remember because he was from.
I feel like
I
that's
knew
happened
people
like
who knew him.
times.
Yeah, so I don't like when it's a random rookie. I'm kind of more scared than I am when it's Paul Skeens. Well, Paul Skeens is a rookie, but he's not a random rookie. So, yeah.
I mean, we dodged Chris Sale, we dodged Max Fried. Like, you got to win 2 out of 3 against that.
Yeah,
right?
they do.
Like,
They do. It'd be disappointing if they don't. So, especially because they really should have won game 1 today, right? Like, it's frustrating to drop that. So, I don't blame Ollie. I guess real quick.
I don't blame Ollie for that. I just like. I mean, I would have gone with Romero, but like, I don't know, whatever.
Well, I was actually thinking about it more later. If you go Romero there, I think they bring Laureano off the bench or something like that. And if Romero doesn't get through that spot, like they're not going to leave. They weren't going to leave Rosario in.
I mean, I was more questioning the decision to bring in Leahy against like Olsen, Riley, and Ozuna. I was like, what are we doing? Like, that's crazy.
Yeah, that was kind of weird. I heard them explain it though, and it seemed available. Yeah, and availability wise, I think they
availability of who, like Romero. Romero's available.
I think I would have gone. I probably would have gone to him, but he had Albies who crushes left-handed pitching. Anyways, it wasn't as clean as you would want it to be. But then back to the Romero part, they would have pinch hit for Rosario, and then the very next hitter was Duvall, who absolutely smashes left-handed pitching too. So you weren't going to get a good matchup there. I didn't mind going Fernandez. He's been awesome. And then you had righties coming after, so it made sense tunneling wise, or not tunneling wise, planning wise here. Lanes. The lane there made a lot of sense. So anyways, if you're going to get mad at Ollie for bringing in a guy who's been one of the best relievers in all baseball, whatever. Like, Cardinals offense should have scored. That was the story of that game. And then they scored in this game and they won. So that was great. Anyways, I think that's all we've got for this one. Thanks again to 3-1 Sports Cards and Collectibles. Go check them out and let them know we sent you for sports cards, collectibles, Pokemon cards, all that stuff, as well as SeatGeek. Use that code Newt News, not dealing cards, Newt News, for $20 off a purchase. We'll be back on Wednesday to talk more Cardinal stuff. Hopefully, again, the trade deadline will be really close at that point, so hopefully we'll have a lot of talk. Again, we've got a trade deadline live stream we're going to be doing that day of, so similar to our draft live stream, we'll be covering the trade deadline the whole day, or not the whole day, but a lot of the day. So come join us for that. Hopefully we'll have some guests on as well for that. But appreciate all the support. Like and subscribe if this is your first time, and let people know about the podcast. It helps us out a ton. We've got a lot of really fun planned content in the near future. And then we've got some cool stuff we're dreaming about long-term as well that we'd love for you guys to be a part of. Appreciate all the love and support you guys give the podcast. So again, like and subscribe, and we will see you guys next time.